has the latest from Damascus.
In the main square in Damascus, thousands gathered to cheer the end of Syrian dictator Bashar al-Assad. Entire families came to witness history in the making.
Syrians have been coming from all over the country to gather here. Hello, I'm from the United States.
Welcome.
Thank you very much.
Which channel?
NBC News.
Welcome.
How are you feeling today?
Very happy.
Very happy.
Very, very happy.
It seems to be the sentiment here. Everyone says very happy.
Yes.
Wow. So this is a symbol of everything that has transpired here over the last, really just 2 weeks. The rebel forces moved into Damascus, and the government and its armed forces simply melted away. We've seen uniforms on the ground. This tank was just abandoned.
Now the tank is in the hands of the people it was used to repress. There is one word I'm hearing over and over again. It is Hurriya, Arabic. And a lot of celebratory gunfire. The rebels were given a hero's welcome. Many are from an Islamist group called HTS, considered a terrorist organization by the U.S. and the United Nations. Their victory was swift after Assad's longtime backers, Russia, Iran, and Hezbollah, did not or could not intervene. Everything will be excellent in our foreign and domestic relations. We don't want to be hostile to anyone, said one fighter. The leader of HTS was once an al-Qaeda commander, although he split from the group years ago. He promised tolerance for all religions and said there would be no restrictions on women's rights. Syrians are overwhelmed by all the sudden changes, and they're getting their first glimpses of Assad's life of luxury. A video claims to show his vast collection of sports cars and SUVs, repossessed by revolution. The rebels have also been freeing political prisoners from a notorious prison, once dubbed the human slaughterhouse. Assad escaped for Moscow, where he and his family were given asylum for humanitarian reasons. With him gone, there is nervousness, but also hope. Refugees are rushing back to write the next chapter of Syria's history.
That was NBC's Richard Engel reporting from Damascus. Joining us now, national security reporter for the Wall Street Journal, our friend Alex Ward. Alex, good to see you this morning. So you've been on this story, and there's been a lot of talk about this rebel group and how the world will engage with them moving forward, obviously, just in the early days of its rise to power. Yesterday, the group did come out and say they won't tell women how to dress. We'll see if they follow through on that. Talk to us a little bit more about who these people are and how is the State Department, how is the Biden administration viewing them?
Well, let's just start with Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, which is this group that is basically now in charge for the moment. You know, they would consider themselves to be moderate Islamists, right? But Islamists, none the same. Jihadists, none the same. Moderate jihadists, I should say. And so in this case, what they're trying to convey is that, you know, the world will dictate their Islam to a certain extent, or the world will influence the way that they try to govern, as opposed to have their ideology imposed on the people. And of course, the people that are yearning for freedom after many years of Bashar al-Assad. So these statements that they put out, that Jelani, their group leader, puts out, they're trying to signal that they would be a more moderate organization. That the women's point is case in point. It is a perfect thing for them to say, not only for the people in Syria there and for the women of Syria there, but also for the West, which they are looking to have on their side. But of course, you talk to the Biden administration, and they've said this publicly, you know, statements are one thing, actions are another. You know, are these just statements just to buy themselves some time, to paint themselves as the more moderate force, although, of course, this group, you know, was born out of al-Qaeda and ISIS? Or is this for real? And of course, only time will tell. So everyone is sort of in a wait and see posture. The U.S. Will be sending officials, it has been sending officials to the Middle East to try to get a sense of where Syria is headed, of what this group's intentions are. But right now, it's really a wait and see game. But they are saying, HTS is saying all the right things at this point in time.
So, Alex, talk to us about the implications of this change in Syria on two of its neighbors. First, Israel. We should note Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu taking the stand today in his much-delayed corruption trial. But certainly, they've had a lot of success weakening their foes in recent months. And also Iran now losing an important proxy.
Yeah, well, let's start with Iran. I mean, Iran needed Syria for its quote-unquote axis of resistance in the Middle East. It used Syria as basically a land bridge to send weapons to Hezbollah, which, as we know, has been decimated significantly by Israel over the last year or so. And so the ability to rearm Hezbollah, to prop up Hezbollah, has been very complicated by Syria's fall. Doesn't mean that Iran can't continue to help or to assist, but in this case, it just makes life for them a lot easier, a lot more complicated, excuse me. As for Israel, it's a little bit unclear what it really means. I mean, it's not like Israel really loved Assad. I mean, Israel was constantly bombing, and it still is, I should say, bombing chemical weapons and the encroachment of Iranian proxies inside of Syria. But there was an understanding at the Golan Heights, a disputed territory between Israel and Syria, to the point that now Netanyahu sent troops there to basically guard it and protect it and get a sense of, where this is going. So an important agreement between those two countries is now in flux because Assad is gone. So I think at the end of the day, Israel's probably happier than not that, Iran's designs in the Middle East have been thwarted to a certain extent, or at least more complicated. But it is certainly a fragile moment for the geopolitics of the Middle East, and also, of course, for the people of Syria, who are extremely happy that Assad is gone, but nervous about what it means to have a former al-Qaeda and ISIS-linked group in charge of them.
And lastly, Alex, in our last minute here, talk to us about the implications for Russia, which had been such a supporter of Assad.
Well, this is actually one of the more interesting aspects of it, because HTS, the group in charge, has reached out to Russia and said, look, you're not going to lose your access to the bases. We're not coming after you, even though you propped up Assad. And this is a move that many see as a way to kind of get Russia to back off, right? Russia could involve itself more and try to depose and prop up certain opposition groups to HTS. But this is somewhat of an outreach to say, look, you Russia, if you leave us alone, right, we'll leave you alone. And in a way, this might, make their lives a little easier. And in terms of Russia, they might, like this in a sense, because not only do they get to keep their bases and their access to warm water ports, but then they can focus on what it really wants to, which is Ukraine.
Right, and it's been spread so thin by their efforts there in Ukraine. Terrific analysis and reporting, as always, from national security reporter for the Wall Street Journal, Alex Ward. Alex, thank you again. Next up here, 3 of President-elect Trump's most controversial administration picks spent yesterday meeting with a series of top Republicans. We'll go over what happened during a busy day on Capitol Hill. Plus, Congress is heading toward another government shutdown deadline, and it appears that House Speaker Mike Johnson will need a few Democrats on his side if he wants to pass a stopgap measure. Those stories and a check on sports and weather when we come right back.
I'm sandwiched between the 2 generations. I'm helping to give caregiver responsibilities to my dad and then my son, who's just out of college. So it's like, where can I put my money where it can grow a little bit faster? I found Wealthfront and let it work its magic. The cash account is more like, what will my dad need? And then the investment account is what I want. My passion is traveling. I traveled to 6 continents. My last continent is what I'm trying to save for. You get that, oh, you've earned so much this month. It's like, hey, I made a wise decision there.
Did you know you can save with GoodRx, even if you have insurance?
I thought my prescription was covered until it wasn't, but GoodRx helps with that.
I work for myself, so I buy my own insurance. And I still check GoodRx.
I'm on Medicare. I check GoodRx because it can beat my copay. Who wouldn't like that?
Even if you have insurance, GoodRx can help you save.
Okay, we'll see you next time.
Another good reason to check GoodRx.
At Great Wolf Lodge, the splashes are huge, the action never stops, and the smiles come easy. So bring your pack together and winter savings are here. Book now and save up to 40%.
When you need brutal honesty, when you need answers first thing in the morning, when you need to go deep inside Washington and hear from someone who's been there, you need your Morning Joe, weekdays at 6, only on MSNBC.
Am I the kind of dad who always watches TV standing up? I guess I am.
I like to watch from back here, and it's closer and closer to the TV over time.
Helps me see whoever's turning around in the driveway.
Plus, from back here, I can watch reality TV without getting too sucked in.
Like I don't know exactly what this guy's up to.
Plot twist.
Huh.
Oh, Dad.
Pretend I'm not here.
Each week on my podcast, I'm joined by uniquely qualified guests who help me take a big picture look at the issues, like Representative Jasmine Crockett, late-night host Seth Meyers, former Attorney General Eric Holder, and many more. Why is this happening? Listen now.
Welcome back. Donald Trump's pick for Secretary of Defense will be back on Capitol Hill today to again meet with Republican senators. Pete Hegseth says that today he's meeting with Senator Lisa Murkowski of Alaska, and tomorrow we'll meet with Senator Susan Collins of Maine. Two important swing votes there. These meetings come after he sat down for a second time yesterday with another key lawmaker, Senator Joni Ernst of Iowa. Last week, you will recall, Ernst was very hesitant to support the former Fox News host, who has been accused of sexual assault, abusing alcohol, and financial mismanagement of two nonprofits dedicated to veterans. He denies all those claims. But yesterday, Senator Ernst had a different tone about Hegseth, releasing a statement praising him for his responsiveness and respect for the process and calling their conversations encouraging. Here's what she had to say about the meeting when pressed by reporters.
Does that say you're supporting him?
So I am supporting him through this process, and I'll just refer you back to the statement.
Is that a yes vote on the floor?
You could change your mind. It was a very productive meeting, though. I think we're just moving through the process. But he does respect that I'm taking the time.
Did you talk about the allegations?
Thank you, guys.
Did you talk about the allegations as well, Senator?
Thank you, guys. I'll refer back to my statement.
Did he commit? You said supporting the process. It doesn't sound like you're a yes yet. Is that fair?
I am supporting the process.
Did he commit to keeping women in their current roles in the military?
He is very supportive of women in the military. It is one thing that we discussed.
So he's changed his position? He's changed his position on that?
Hegseth, of course, has repeatedly said he does not think women should be in combat roles. As you can see, Ernst didn't commit to supporting him, but certainly opened the door, which a few days ago, that seemed really unlikely. Meanwhile, Trump's pick to head the FBI, another controversial choice, Kash Patel, was also on the Hill yesterday, meeting with Republican senators. He'll need to support his nomination. But unlike some of President-elect Trump's other incendiary picks, senators, at least so far, seem more open to backing him. Patel was initially considered a questionable choice for the post. After all, he spent years slamming the very agency he's now been tapped to oversee.